I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Colby and Chip.
What are we listening to? Knocked Loose Billy No Mates. What the hell is this, babe?
I don't know, honey. This is for the big homie, Matt. Hold on.
Maida?
I don't know if...
Merce
here?
Yeah.
So, Matt is one of our faithful, loyal supporters. And this is the song he's requested.
Okay.
I've never heard of either. I mean, that's no surprise to you guys. There's so many bands I've never heard of. But you've never heard of this either, right?
So the name of the band is Knocked Loose?
I guess.
No. Yeah, I think the name of the band is Knocked Loose.
I thought the name of the band.
Is it Billy No Mates?
Well, what is it?
I don't know, babe. The name of the album is Laugh Tracks. I think Billy No Mates is probably the...
I thought Knocked Loose was the name of the band, but I don't know.
I think you're probably right.
Anyway, if you want to see behind the
Knocked
scenes...
Loose is the name of the band, that's right.
If you want to see behind the scenes with our family, check out My Story Life. Or if you love that political stuff...
Timely, topical, political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori.
That's where you want to go.
Okay. So there's that. Thank you to everybody who's helped us with the... I don't even know if this is going to be relevant by the time we air this video, so...
Well, I think it'll still be up. Like, we've got the baby registry that by the time that this video comes out, you guys will... the kids are leaving out, Johan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we just tell them to stop doing that before we keep recording?
No. We'll reward him later. Alright, let's go!
Alright. This is such a terrible beginning. Shout out to you, Matt! And go.
Wow.
Alright.
Pull.
Reject the blame. I call out for help, but I will never call your fucking name! Anguish! I get away with the poison, but I still feel like I'm dying. I get away with the poison, but I still feel like I'm dying.
36 people were injured in the making of this video.
But none of them were animals, so everything was fine.
I legit kept thinking throughout the music video, I would not want to be in that crowd. I don't want to be in that crowd. There's like a lot of times when I see...
I don't want to be in your crowd. I'm
no.
going to be injured, and I don't have insurance because we live in a filthy capitalist system.
Right. You definitely need to shoot 'em in America. It's like all up in you. You're like ready to talk about it. Seriously.
Evil bastards.
People got injured in this, for sure.
For sure.
They were throwing themselves around.
I thought this was going to be like one of those funny songs.
Why?
Billy No Mates, Knock Loose, the guy, you know, whatever. I was like, this is a serious song right from the freaking beginning.
Uh-huh.
So, it seems like he, this is a very unique song because it's kind of like he's a bit repentant here. I was too quick to judge. All my friends who have wasted their lives, we are one and the same. I was too quick to judge. We're all alone in this. I put the drugs in between us, and I told myself that it changed you, but I'm the one who changed. Point the finger, reject the blame, I call out for help, but I'll never call your fucking name.
English.
I think that's the friend.
What?
I think the friend is saying this here. I think he's confessing that he had a judgmental sort of better than you attitude. And then the friend is responding by saying he needed the help, but he's not going to call your name because you're judging him up here. And then I did away with the poison, but I still feel like I'm dying.
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow, that is a significant song.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy. Maybe I'm the one who's so full of shit. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where if you've got a friend who's I'm always interested in power dynamics in relationships because I don't believe that they belong there, but for whatever reason they're almost inevitable, and I see them all the time. And so if you think about like if you've got a friend who's addicted to drugs or whatever, there's an immediate power dynamic there because you're the one who's well, but he's the one who's needs to get better, and he's the one who's, you know, has the problem or whatever, and you're the one who has it together, and he's the one that's wasting his life, and you're the one that's doing something significant, and so the template of judgmentalism is already there. And a lot of times when people think about like caring for people that are addicted to drugs, it's really just a form of judgmentalism to some degree.
Really?
Oh, for sure. For sure. So I'm not, and again, nobody ever does anything for only one reason. So I'm not saying that's the only reason they do it, but there is absolutely a lot of judgment there. Like, for example, when you see a guy that sells out his family's rent money for his crack, like there's obvious judgment there.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah,
and then you see all my friends who've wasted their lives. Like, when you see somebody strung out, you have to actively work against judging that person. Because even like, you know, you can feel bad for them, which everybody does, but at the same time, it's like, oh, they're a junkie. It's like they need to stop being a junkie. They need to clean themselves up and yada, yada, yada. And so I think that's a blind spot that gets missed a lot when you're talking about caring for people in that situation. Go ahead, what were you gonna say?
I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm having a hard time to like wrap my head around that because I think that, you know, I've been a very judgmental person, but I don't think that in that situation, like, I don't know. Did you ever see me be like judgmental like that of them?
Well, I think human pride is a lot more subtle and nefarious than we realize.
Well, I think that for me, like when I would see the person in that situation, I think it was so easy to see that I could be in that situation.
Well, the other
like because I have such an addictive personality, and I know that like a lot of times when I was looking at them, like, oh my gosh, if I was in a situation like that, like, because you know how I am like with food, just with food.
Well, that's why I said you have to actively work against it, because the other side of that is that we were working with people who our community had basically thrown away. So because of that, we were already coming with the mindset of, and I told everybody when we started, I said, we're not going to be these people's saviors.
Right.
We're not saving anybody.
Right.
You know, Jesus is the savior. We're not the savior. So there was already sort of a template for us because we were already experiencing the judgment of the entire city on these people. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we had that kind of advantage because we were just going in there was
You know, we were probably judging the city more.
Saddam. That's correct. We were judging the people.
City and the church and
right.
stuff
We
like
were
that.
judging the people who were judging these people.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was different
Okay.
for us. You know, it was different for us because we were kind of on a team already.
Yeah.
But you do see it a lot in the. Just again in the way those dynamics make themselves out to be, you know, and a lot of times it's like sometimes those guys would say really significant stuff, whether or not they were high or whatever, and it's like, you know, I remember saying to someone like, "Yo, so and so said this thing and da da da," and he was like, it was a crazy biblical idea, and the person said, "Well, were they high?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that guy's always high," and they're like. Psh. You know, and it's and I get it. It's like, oh, you know, like, oh, you're a junkie. What do you know? It's like, well, he knows a lot.
Some people have some pretty lofty thoughts under the influence of stuff.
Yeah, of course. You know, but it's that whole dynamic of like we're better than them and we're above them because we don't have this, you know, whatever. Of course, this is for all the Vingo players. The advantage in believing in original sin is that, okay, you don't have a chemical addiction, but you have some problem.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, and if you believe that, then it makes it a lot harder to believe that you're better than people. It just means that your issues are more socially acceptable than the other guy's issues, but you're still hopelessly flawed and broken.
Oh, for sure.
And that's why you were able to so quickly say, no, we weren't judging the drug folk, but we were judging our city who was judging those people. You're able to see it because you know that, okay, if judgmentalism is a problem, we probably have it somewhere. We just don't know where it is.
Right.
Oh, we found it.
Yeah.
So you assume that there's something wrong with you, and it insulates you from acting like you're better than people. But if you don't believe in original sin, and you just believe everybody starts off at zero and some people make themselves better than other people, then you can walk around saying, yeah, I didn't do drugs. I don't know. You can walk around and feel good about yourself. And a lot of people, this is a really crazy part, a lot of people have friendships with people who are below them, or even get into relationships with people who they think are below them because it makes them feel safe.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like, okay, like it makes them feel better about themselves, and it makes them not have to look at who they are and where their problems are.
Yeah.
Because that person is a constant confirmation that they are better.
Yep.
You know, so
girls do that with their friends. Like they'll pick friends that are less attractive than them, or.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. I heard girls say it.
Human nature.
Yeah.
I mean, every girl you'd be around is less attractive than you, so you didn't.
Well, that never made any sense to me because I was always like, well, at
because you always had the pretty girl privilege.
No, babe, and that's not what it is.
It is. You don't know it, but it's true.
It's that we were looking for optimal attention.
No, honey, you wake up. You're 8.5 months pregnant, and your hair is all whatever, and you're miserable as a demon, and you're still prettier than than these people you see on TV.
Crazy. I look at myself every morning and
I look at you every morning too.
For you. I'm like,
I look at you. I feel bad for me too. Different reasons, but no. You're just gonna have to use a different example. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, but I'm just saying that I didn't do that because, we were looking for optimal attention. So, if you're hanging out with other pretty people, then you're gonna get more attention.
Yeah, that's what you thought. But if you didn't realize that you were not stunningly beautiful, then you wouldn't look at it that way. But anyway, people will make relationship decisions or whatever to create those power dynamics. To always have that one friend who's always screwed, and that's why the friend basically says, "I'm going to call out for help, and I'm not going to call your name. See ya." But of course, the other side of that is people kind of emotionally try to blackmail you into silence by using the term judgment, and that has to be called out. So it's like,
oh yeah,
if you say your kids need you,
yeah,
and this is really fucked up that you're doing this and whatever, it's like, they're judging me. It's like, this is reality, period.
Yeah. What is the actual difference between, like, you know, I know that this is a much smaller example, but I was having a discussion with Sayla where I was saying, look, this is a problem, like, you know, this and this behavior is a problem.
Right.
And she was like, you're judging me. See, I knew it. I couldn't even have this discussion without you judging me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, there's one form of judgment, which is, look, I'm judging you. I have no intention of helping you. I just want to look at you like you're a horrible person. And then the other one is looking at you and saying, you're better than this. Like,
right.
You know, step it up. Let me help you.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, why do people think, people are going to have an opinion, like,
well,
what is this whole thing about, like, you can't judge? If we can't make any judgment at all, then we can never say anything's wrong.
Well, you can never say anything is right either.
Yeah, because that's a judgment. But people are fine with that judgment.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you say to Sailor, whoa, Sailor, you kicked ass on that, you did a great job, she wouldn't say, stop judging me.
Right.
Well, that's a judgment.
Right.
And you know, everybody likes to quote, you know, judge not lest you be judged. And of course they ignore John 7, where Jesus says, you know, when you judge with a righteous judgment and not by human appearance.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about that. They just, you know, and to me, a lot of things come down to what your motivation is. And it, from the judger and the judgee, what is your motivation? If I tell Dorian,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You did a damn good job in your chores, and my motivation is to have a good day, because I know that if I tell him, hey man, you didn't do those dishes, and I know it's going to create a conflict, so and give a false judgment and say, oh, you did a good job, but my motivation wasn't to make him a better man and build in the work ethic he's going to need to be successful. My motivation was to just buy a good night where I don't have to argue with him. Then that's wrong. But but conversely, if I see that he's done a much better job and he's improved and he still has areas of opportunity, and I go after the little bitty piece that he didn't do well and don't acknowledge the fact that he's made strides, then that type of judging God is against, because God doesn't engage people that way. And he's never engaged me that way. God has never like picked at me.
Right. No.
It's always been like, hey, you're getting there. Or sometimes it's like, bro, you know, you
yeah.
Because most of the time we know. Most of the time you hear it in your internal dialogue, and what we call judgment is really an external voice confirming the already internal voice
that we didn't want to hear.
Seduct, and we want our friends to help silence the truth that you already know.
Yeah.
So I don't, you know, I know to the best of my ability what's in my heart when I'm saying something. So, you know, if Sailor or the kids or whatever say you judge, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care what you think. Like, this is what's actually going on. Like, I am not here to try to tear you down. I'm here to try to build you up. And I'm not going to, I tell the kids all the time, I'm not going to send you out into that world ill-equipped with the reality of what the world is actually about because I want to buy a good night with you. I'm not doing that. But at the same time, you got to check yourself as a parent, as a friend, as a spouse to say, you know, why am I pointing out this thing? Am I trying to nitpick this person to death? Am I trying to impose perfectionism on them, which is extremely destructive and paralyzing? Or is it, I want to build this person up and to yours, call that greatness out of them? You know, if you, what I found with people, whether it's people that work for me or, because, you know, I say, I give it straight, no change, like there's no, you know, whatever. But like, a lot of it is like, if I'm saying something to you to call greatness out of you, then most people I've found are like good with that. But if it's just, and you know, I apologize I saw that Jordan Peterson thing where that kid that just had the meltdown and he just needed help or whatever. And it's that video I showed you. And they're praying over the kid and all this. And you know, I said I need to be more empathetic because I'm very hard on men. I'm extremely hard on men. And for the most part, it's because I have good motives, because I know that at the end of the day, I still believe in traditional gender roles, and I still believe that as the men go, so does a given society. So if you've got men that are won't take on responsibility and are ingesting pornography 4 hours a day and don't feel a necessity to protect women and things like that, you're gonna have a terrible society.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm more hard on dudes than I would be with women, because there's a difference between men and women. But at the same time, it's like sometimes I like when I was watching that video, the Lord said to me, sometimes you're saying that out of frustration. You're not saying that to you're just frustrated with people because you're whatever.
I understand that.
And so
all my discussions this morning was out of frustration.
And so you have to apologize, because even if you say the right thing, if you're saying it out of frustration, then that's when the judging comes in, and when God knows your heart. And so like there's gonna be a lot of things where I finally meet the big homie, and he's gonna say, you were 1,000% right and 1,000% wrong. Because the scripture says, from his fullness we've seen his glory, full of grace and truth. Grace and truth, grace and truth, grace and truth. And so if you're saying the negative thing, but it's full of grace, like if you're telling the truth but the truth is full of grace, then you're on the right track, then you're not judging. But if what you have to say is full of truth but there's no grace, then you're judging. And then if it's full of grace and no truth, you're still judging, because what you're saying is the person isn't strong enough to deal with the truth, and you're still judging them. Like, judging someone is inescapable. And if you want to take an elementary perspective on the Bible and just, I don't want to say it that way, but, the point is you don't judge with a negative motive. You don't judge to put people below you. And the crazy thing is you actually judge to put people above you. And the reason I'm saying that is because the scripture says to consider everyone as better than themselves. Consider them. Because the reason you have to consider them is because they're not ontologically everybody's equal, but God wants us to, it says outdo one another in showing each other honor. So if it's like, the best example I had of it was LeBron James when he first went to the Miami Heat. And he started choking when he went to the finals, because there was all this pressure, self-imposed. He said they were going to win like 6 titles. Not 1, not 3, not 6. And then he gets to the finals and he starts to choke. And there is this like historical moment where Dwayne Wade, his best friend and teammate, yelled at him in the court and was yelling at him for 30 seconds straight. And they ended up losing that series.
Oh, wow.
And then D. Wade went up to LeBron. They were on a vacation or something, and he said, LeBron, when you came onto the team, everybody was saying, like, who's going to be Batman, who's going to be Robin? And we were saying, we're both going to be Batman. It's going to be Batman and Superman, And he said, LeBron, you have to be Batman. And I have to be Robin. And it was his team. It was Dwayne Wade's team.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, it's called Miami-Dade County. It changed to Miami-Wade County. Like, that's how...
Oh, wow.
And so him yelling at him on the court, underneath that was, you're better than this, you're better than me, lead the team.
Wow.
So you're judging somebody like that?
Yeah.
You're judging a friend like that? Okay.
Right. Right, that's different.
Like if you can be that type of person when you're judging a person, then people will do anything for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't hear it that way. And so that's something that, and me, I don't judge whether I did something right or wrong based on a person's response to me.
Right.
Like that's not how I judge.
Right.
Whether I told somebody that I consider a dear friend that I spent a lot of time with. I said, yeah, I know it offends you, but I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm not disrespecting you. This is what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a really hard. Yep. It's a really hard. But this song was pretty crazy because it was. You don't hear stuff like this a lot.
Yeah.
I put the drugs in between us. I told myself it changed you, but I'm the one who changed. It's true. Like, he's not saying that his friend is like didn't change at all, but it's he's saying, the drugs were an excuse for me to put myself above you or whatever. And I think that showed, this is probably one of the most self-aware things I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
In a very, very long time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You don't really see this type of stuff. Like,
no.
It's beautiful to see. You definitely don't see it in the Christian world. Good night. Okay, what do you give the song?
Well, it probably was going to be like, okay, I liked the instruments. Vocally, I probably would have gone with like, I don't know, like a 7.5, but I have to bump it up because the content of the lyrics. It was just, I'm going to go with an 8.7.
9.8. I think this is hardcore. I think this is the genre is hardcore. Mm-hmm. I probably would have ranked it like an 8.5 or something like that because the riffage was pretty basic or whatever. But because of how unique the message was, I had to bump it up a couple points.
I'll go to a 9. You're right, for the uniqueness.
Yeah, this is
because it's an important topic, and I was thinking about the importance, but the uniqueness is definitely. I've never seen one like this.
It's very challenging. It's a challenging thing. Like you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I tell you guys that original sin stuff is very, very useful. Mm-hmm. It helps you not beat yourself up. If you messed up, don't worry about it. There's nothing else you could have done. All right, then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. You don't like me making excuses for people.
I don't.
Point the finger. Reject the blame.